Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, the video title was not clickbait. We're talking about Nintendo Switch 2 emulation with oboromi. Subscribe to Mr. Sujano. I'm not quite sure on how to pronounce this one. Anyways, this is a proof of concept Nintendo Switch 2 emulator currently in development. So oboromi is up on GitHub, and it's a modular and work in progress emulator for the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2. The Nintendo Switch 2 is already here. Anyways, it's built in Rust and focuses on correctness, clarity, and traceability rather than performance at this stage. The current implementation includes a functioning CPU core, a memory management unit with basic paging, and a custom memory subsystem. However, and this is important, oboromi is not yet playable and does not emulate any commercial firmware or games. On top of that, the developer of oboromi has a brand new post up on Reddit Emulation with even more information about the project. And they say here they wanted to share some updates on this project they've been working on since June. They're currently building the foundations of a future emulator for the Nintendo Switch 2, since the console hasn't been modded yet and we can't dump its firmware. For now, we can only work on the parts we already know and test the basic emulator infrastructure. Right now, the project successfully builds and runs a few low-level tests. Now, there are a couple of things worth pointing out. Number one, although this is technically a Nintendo Switch 2 emulator, I wouldn't expect it to be able to play Nintendo Switch 2 games anytime soon. There's still a lot of work that has to be done. Switch 2 firmware has not been dumped yet. There's a lot of unknowns right now. In terms of overall timing, I wouldn't expect anything for a number of months, possibly even years. Secondly here, in its current form, I don't think Nintendo can go after it. I think this one is absolutely safe. Now, it's worth pointing out here, and if it wasn't obvious already, I am not a lawyer and this is not legal advice. It's just my opinion. Taking a look here at the court case between Nintendo and Yuzu, and it seems as if the main point of contention was TPMs, technological protection measures that were put in place by Nintendo that Yuzu circumvented. And in the current condition of oboromi, it's not circumventing anything. Now, I could be wrong with that one, but I don't think so, because Yuzu relied on prod.keys and title.keys files, which don't exist right now for the Switch 2. I am very curious to see where the development of oboromi goes moving forward, and if it's developed in a way that Nintendo can't really go after it for circumvention of TPM. We'll have to wait and see. If you are interested in this and wanted to learn more about it, like everything we talk about, link will be within the GitHub link in the bottom of the description below. I don't hide my sources. And speaking about Nintendo Switch emulation, but going back one generation from the Switch 2 to the Switch 1, and we're talking about Nintendo Switch emulator Eden. And Eden seems to be making some serious progress. So this information is taken right from their Discord, and they say soon the Snapdragon 8 Elite will be usable on Eden, starting off with fixing long-standing issues like messed up textures in games like Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. So based on that information, it does seem as if they're making a lot of progress with the Snapdragon 8 Elite. I mean, this was posted a while back, or just a few days back, and I think we talked about this one as well. But it does seem that they've got Breath of the Wild up and running with the Snapdragon 8 Elite. And speaking about emulation on Android, next up here we're talking about Xbox 360 emulation on Android, and a rumor here that I would take with a grain of salt. I've got no idea if this is real or fake, but at the same time here there seems to be a lot of chatter surrounding it. And that is reportedly a new Xbox 360 emulator in development. We're going to have to wait and see what happens moving forward with this one, and I wouldn't get my hopes up. I wouldn't completely write it off, but I also wouldn't get my hopes up and put a lot of faith in this. I really don't know if it's real or fake. I mean, taking a look at it, there are some things here that make it look really real. The frame rate is not 100% on this. The buttons on this, though, they're using PlayStation buttons as opposed to Xbox ones, which I find very interesting. But overall, it seems like it could be real. It also seems like it could be something like Xenia running within something like Winlator, just all bundled up in an APK. I really don't know at this point in terms of whether or not this will release, whether or not it's real, or what exactly is going to happen. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below, but I'd say there's a chance this ends up shaping up in some way, shape, or form. And speaking about stuff shaping up, next up we're talking about DreamPotato. Now, DreamPotato, aside from having an amazing name, is a Dreamcast VMU emulator currently in beta. and DreamPotato and Flycast seem to be getting along very well. It's being reported here that Flycast and DreamPotato integration is now available in the Flycast dev branch. If you are curious about this one and wanted to see it in action, there is a YouTube video, and I'll drop a link to that in the GitHub link in the description below as well to check out. It's titled DreamPotato Flycast Integration Demo. But moving on and still talking about emulation, just switching to Nintendo 3DS now and talking about Azahar. And Azahar just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, Azahar version 21.23.3 release candidate 1 is the latest update. Now this is not a stable update, this is a release candidate, so there may be bugs and issues with it. It's for testing. So as for what's new here, for Android they're saying various improvements to secondary display handling. Also fixed an issue if a secondary screen was disconnected during emulation while using the Vulkan renderer, the emulator would still attempt to use the disconnected screen, causing various issues. On top of that, under technical here, they say our pre-built macOS binaries are now built using macOS 15 Sequoia and Xcode 16 for both x86 64 and ARM64. And speaking about Android and pre-release stuff, next up here we're talking about Intel. And this is starting to make waves here. It's being reported that Intel may be prepping for Android PC OS. Now, all of this information was found in the recent release of Intel's Linux NPU driver version 1.24.0. Literally just released. It just released yesterday. Anyways, here in terms of overall functionality or what this means moving forward, it's really hard to tell because Google's recently announced Android OS for PC is not here yet. We're not going to see it until probably 2026. But either way here, it does seem that AI will be heavily utilized, or at least partially utilized in Android OS for PC. And speaking about updates and heavily utilized, next up we're talking about game engine Unity. And well, this really isn't that good news at all. Or maybe it's good news because it's fixed now. But listen to this. Unity just sent out an email telling everyone who released a game between 2017 and today that they need to recompile and republish their games due to a security vulnerability. Now, to be honest with you, when I first read that tweet, I thought maybe it's just being a little bit dramatic and fear-mongering, but it turns out it's real. Heading on over to the Unity website here, and the vulnerability is described. So they say right here on their website in a couple of long sentences, applications that were built using affected versions of the Unity editor are susceptible to an unsafe file loading and local file inclusion attack, depending on the operating system, which could enable local code execution or information disclosure at the privilege level of the vulnerable application. There is no evidence of any exploitation of the vulnerability, nor has there been any impact on users or customers, at least not reported. Unity has provided fixes that addresses the vulnerability, and they are already available to all developers. Now, interestingly, this was discovered way back on June 4th and was just patched on October 2nd. There's a bit of a time between the two, but I guess at least it's patched now. I'm going to guess there's going to be a lot of Unity games that are updated to fix this vulnerability. On top of that, I would say this is good news. VGC is reporting that Microsoft Defender has been updated and will detect and block the vulnerability. And Valve is going to be issuing additional protections via its Steam client. Also here, I guess Among Us and Marvel Snap have already issued patches. Now, I've got a couple of opinions on this. One, this is affecting a whole lot of games. I mean, since 2017, basically anything built with Unity in the last, 8 years may be affected. Secondly here, I don't know if this hasn't affected any customers or not. I'm wondering here, they say there is no evidence of any exploitation of the vulnerability, nor has there been any impact on users or customers. I'm wondering if it's just no reported impact on any users or customers. Maybe there is an impact and people just don't know about it or haven't reported it. Who knows? Either way here, I would say this is absolutely huge. And speaking about huge, next up here, we're talking about an auction in Australia. Now, if you're in Australia and you're interested in buying arcade hardware, you might be interested in this auction here. The prices seem to be very reasonable so far. It's only around for another 12 hours or so, so it might be over by the time you're watching this video. But I'll drop a link in the GitHub link in the description below in the event that you did want to check it out here. There are a lot of arcades up for auction, including some cool stuff. Well, a lot of cool stuff. It's just, I think this is a really neat auction and a really neat way to get, or maybe an easy way or a less expensive way to get your hands on some pretty cool hardware. I mean, on top of full-blown arcade cabinets, they've also got arcade boards. Some are labeled faulty, some are okay, and the prices of these are fairly low. I mean, current bid is $5 for an NBA Jam Tournament Edition soundboard. There's even some pistols. There's quite a bit of stuff in here and some really cool stuff. Initial D8 Stage 6 Sega mainboard with sticker tested okay for $25. And speaking about cool stuff for cheap, next up we're talking about cool stuff for free. There's a brand new demo available for Vampire's Veil. This game is, it's an interesting one. It's a Metroidvania where you control Celine, a vampire seeking to free her family. Overall, it's an indie game. It does look really cool. The art style, the gameplay on it looks good. And there is a demo on Steam available. Now, for full transparency on this one, I have not checked out this game yet. I have the demo on my list of things to try out, and I've got a huge list of things to go through. I don't necessarily know if I'm sold on the story, but at the same time here, the gameplay looks really good. It looks crisp, and I love the graphics. If you've played the demo, let me know in the comments below and let me know if it's worth wish listing. Unfortunately, I don't know the release date just yet, but I love when demos are out there for the game to check out. And speaking about wanting to hear your thoughts on things, next up we're talking about Microsoft and Xbox Game Pass and a former FTC chair. And I am curious to hear your thoughts after you read the headline here, or hear the headline and also see this person's tweet. So the headline is on Video Games Chronicle, and they say here, as Xbox raises Game Pass prices, former FTC chair says it warned Activision deal would harm gamers. And here's the tweet from the former FTC chair. Microsoft's acquisition of Activision has been followed by significant price hikes and layoffs, harming both gamers and developers. As we've seen across sectors, increasing market consolidation and increasing prices often go hand in hand. As dominant firms become too big to care, they can make things worse for their customers without having to worry about the consequences. Let me know your thoughts about that one. Because listen to this. In March 2023, Microsoft told a court Game Pass prices will not increase as a result of the Microsoft Activision merger. On July 10th, 2023, a federal judge whose son works at Microsoft rejected the FTC's challenge to the merger. Yeah, I'm not surprised here. And speaking about not being surprised and hearing your opinions, next up here, we're still talking about Microsoft and Xbox and kind of Game Pass. We're talking about Xbox Cloud Gaming. And it seems Microsoft is about to launch free Xbox Cloud Gaming with ads. So a couple of things here. I'm guessing some people might be excited about hearing free Xbox Cloud Gaming provided it's ad supported. The other thing here is I'm a little bit worried. I'm assuming that Microsoft may incorporate this in paid versions of Xbox Cloud Gaming. I wouldn't be surprised on that one, considering Windows 11. Don't even get me started on that. Let me know your thoughts. And on top of that, here's a very interesting quote from Jason Ronald, Microsoft's VP of Next Generation. I think for us, it really opens up the opportunity to make it much more affordable and to make it more accessible to players, whether that's going into new regions or new ways to actually access the Xbox Cloud. I would say it really opens up the opportunity to make it much more profitable. Could be wrong with that one, but I don't think so. And speaking about profitable, next up here, we're talking about Netflix, reportedly Netflix, and a job that could generate quite a bit of profit for someone if they get it. So it's in regards to Gen AI, a director for Gen AI for games. And the salary range on this one is between $430,000 to $840,000 per year. Wow. Now, I don't know about you, but $840,000 or even $430,000, the low end here is it's a pretty comfortable, pretty hefty salary that I think a lot of people would want. Anyways, Kendra points out, sorry, there's just no money for new projects. We have to lay off hundreds of people to cut costs. That show game studio has been canceled and closed due to lack of profits. However, there seems to be a lot of money being poured into Gen AI. not surprised. But moving on from that, and speaking about not surprised, next up I am surprised about something here in a very good way. Brave browser has passed 100 million monthly active users. So this announcement's up right on the Brave website, and they say as of September 30th, the Brave browser has surpassed 100 million monthly active users worldwide across desktop and mobile, officially reaching 101 million users. Furthermore, here in terms of growth, they're saying that Brave browser has seen an average of about 2.5 million net new users each month. And this growth has been fueled by a global awareness that Brave is an alternative to big tech and that users benefit greatly from a browser that preserves their privacy and is up to 3 times faster than competitors. Now, I'm not going to lie here. This is an absolutely huge win for Brave, and I am very curious to see where they go moving forward. I do have a few concerns about the future of Brave and the direction it ends up heading, but I'm curious to see if they can avoid pitfalls. And speaking about stuff moving forward, next up here, we're talking about a couple of mobile games that are headed to PC. And they are very popular mobile games. We've got Evo Creo, a pocket monster game with over 1 million downloads and a 4.2 star rating on Google Play. And Evo Creo 2, a monster trainer RPG with over 10,000 downloads and a 4.8 star rating. Both of these games are headed to Steam. Unfortunately, I don't have a firm release date just yet. Q1 2026 and Q4 2025 seem to be the release windows. Now, I'm not going to lie here. I'm curious to see how popular these games end up getting and whether or not they capture the attention of Nintendo and Pokemon, kind of like Pocket Pair and Pal World. Who knows here? If you've played these games, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know if you're excited about these games headed to PC. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. For reference, I did have intentions to bring the one fluff on camera, considering she's in the room with me right now as I'm filming. But she is fast asleep on my gaming chair, snoring away and loudly snoring, and I'm not about to bother her. I'm going to let her enjoy her beauty sleep where she frickin' sleeps for like 20 hours a day anyway. Anyways, we talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.